The suitcase handle dug into my palm, sharp like a bite, and I froze in the doorway. My mother's eyes were ice I had never seen before. "Benna, you need to leave. Your sister needs this space more than you," she said. Her voice did not shake. Final. My older sister leaned back on the couch with a faint smirk. Like she had won a fight I never knew I was in. My heart hammered. I stepped out. The door slammed behind me like a judge's gavel. What none of them knew was this. The second I left, their neat plan would start to fall apart, and the panic they had never planned for would come faster than thunder. Benna wrapped her fingers around her small bag and stepped off the porch. Tears burned, but she swallowed them. Her mother's words beat in her head sharp, final heavy. "You need to leave. Your sister needs this space more than you." The ground felt strange under her feet, as if the home she knew had tilted and she was sliding away from it. She paused and looked back, hoping to see a hint of regret, a flicker of softness. There was nothing, only cold. Neighbors stood near their gates, watching, whispering, judging, pitying. Some shook their heads, some muttered so unfair, but none of them moved. To them this was just noise, another small storm in a street full of stories, not their fight. Inside the house, laughter drifted through the open window. Kem was already celebrating, stretched on the couch like a queen who had locked the crown. My mother clanged pots in the kitchen as if the sound could drown the echo of a door closing on the daughter she had just sent away. In their world, it was as if Benna had never been there. At the corner, Benna turned once more. The house looked like a stranger, now same walls, same roof, but distant, wrong, and far. Pain stabbed deeper than she expected. She remembered late nights of study under that roof, cool mornings of sweeping the yard, quiet moments of prayer asking to be seen the way Kem was seen, but the truth had stood there all along. Plain as the sky, she was never the chosen one. The sun fell lower, washing the road in orange and red. Benna wiped her face fast so the neighbors would not see her weakness. Under the ache, a small spark lit. They thought they had won by pushing her out, but this was not the end. It was the start. With nothing but a small bag and a hurt heart, she faced forward and did not look back again. As she walked, memories rose like a flood. She saw herself as a little girl, quiet in a corner, while her mother placed a shiny new doll in Kem's hands. Kem squealed. Benna held her old toy, one arm gone, and asked if she could have a new one too. Her mother smiled and said, "You are strong, Benna. You don't need much. Let Kem enjoy." Even as a child, Benna learned what came first in that house, and what did not. Birthday after birthday, Kem's cake stood tall with bright candles, while Benna's was small or plain, sometimes just bread with butter. When money was tight, school fees for Kem went first. Benna sat stiff at her desk when the teacher called her name for unpaid dues. She remembered the heat in her cheeks, the whispers, the shame. Afterward her mother would hug her and say, "You're my strong one. You can endure." It showed in small things too. New dresses went to Kem, bright and colorful. Benna took the faded handmead. When visitors came, their mother called Kem to the living room to shine and talk and pose. "Benna, help in the kitchen," she would say. Praise flowed one way, so did eyes. What hurt most was not the lack of gifts. It was the feeling of being unseen. Benna tried and tried helping, studying, keeping the house smooth, but the light never found her. If Kem failed, there were excuses and soft words. If Benna slipped, there were lessons and long talks about being better. Now, dragging her bag through the evening, she knew this moment was not sudden. The door that closed today had been built long ago. She had always been on the edge of that home, there on sufferance, there on terms. Kem was to be loved, guarded, celebrated. Benna was told to survive. She stopped, drew a breath, and whispered, "They always told me to be strong. Then yes, I will be." She wiped her face again and walked on, carrying both pain and a new fire. The streets felt wide and unsure. The night air bit her skin. She thought of a bench and the dark. Fear rose at the idea of sleeping outside alone. She scrolled through her phone and paused on a name, Amadi, an old friend from the other side of town. When he picked up, his voice was warm. He did not demand answers. "Come," he said. His apartment was small. One thin mattress, one chair, a kettle that clicked and spat steam. He split the mattress without a second thought. "You're safe here," he said. She thanked him softly, almost breaking on the words. That night, staring at a cracked ceiling, Benna felt the weight settle. Her own mother had chosen someone else over her. She pulled the small blanket to her chin, fought the tears, and lost. They flowed quiet and hot. Days showed their hard face. Benna helped Amadi sweep, wash and keep the little room in order. She skipped meals to stretch his food. At night, when he slept, she sat by the small window, hugging her knees, and whispered, "If they think I am disposable, I will rise so high they will choke on their regret." It was not just a line anymore. It was breath. She walked the city in daylight, looking for work. A bakery took her in for small pay. She swept, wiped, washed trays. She mixed flour when she was allowed. In exchange, she took leftover bread and a few coins. She also bought cheap beads and scraps of fabric from the market and made simple crafts, bracelets, hairbands, tiny purses. She posted photos from her old phone. Sales were slow, but every message that said "I want one" felt like a hand pulling her forward. People saw her. Some pitied her, some whispered, some said she was brave. She refused to hold shame like a coat. Every time she heard her mother's voice telling her to leave, she felt heat rise in her chest and used it. The pain did not break her. It shaped her. She kept a small notebook. At night she wrote ideas: how to stitch cleaner edges, how to save, how a shop could look one day. She wrote her name over and over and drew a circle around it, as if that could make a world around her. "One day people will know my name," she said into the dark, not loud, not boastful. Steady. Her life moved to a beat. Bakery at dawn, market after work, crafting on the floor by the door, notes at night. While others went out, she stayed with thread and scissors and lists. Sometimes her hands shook from tiredness, but she finished one more bracelet, one more row of stitches, one more line in the book. Small steps matter. Word began to spread. A woman who bought one bracelet told a friend, who told another. Orders grew. The small phone buzzed more often. The sound became a kind of song. It was not yet enough to live on, but it was proof. She was building something real. Even when doubt tried to creep in, when a seam split or a customer was late to pick up, she remembered the night of the door, and told herself, "I do not need their eyes on me to matter. I am walking my own road." Back in the family house, life was not the calm victory her mother had imagined. Pushing Benna out did not bring peace. If anything, it fed the storm. Without Benna, Kem's wants took up all the air. She wanted special meals every day: rice with meat, rich stew, soft bread. If the spices were off, she shouted. If the bread was hard, she threw it away. My mother ran in circles to keep up. Kem wanted attention too. She sat in the living room with her phone while my mother fetched, folded, cleaned. When visitors came, Kem smiled and talked and made my mother praise her like a show. But when real work appeared, she turned away. Money grew tight. Kem wanted new clothes, new shoes, a newer phone. Even when the lights threatened to go out, she pressed for more. If my mother said no, Kem sulked for days until yes came out of tired lips. The tasks Benna had once done piled up. The compound went dusty. Clothes lay unwashed. Small repairs were left because there was no one to just do them. My mother came to bed spent and woke, already tired. In the quiet, she thought of the daughter who did not ask for much, who kept the house running in small unseen ways. She did not say it out loud, but she felt it. The steady hands she sent away had been the ones holding the place together. Neighbors noticed, where they once saw Benna sweeping the yard with a smile and a greeting, they now saw Kem stretched on the veranda, scrolling. Whispers moved from gate to gate. "That one only spends," people said. The same mouths that once pitied Benna now pitied my mother. Regret grew in my mother like a slow storm. She remembered calling Benna her strong one, as if strength meant she could be ignored. She began to see that she had confused quiet with less value, endurance with not needing care. One evening after a long shift, Benna sewed a new bag from leftover cloth. The pattern was bold, bright, different. She took a photo, posted it, and put the phone down. She did not expect much, but within an hour the phone hummed again and again. Likes, shares, comments. "Can I buy? How much? Do you ship?" By morning the post had spread. A small fashion page reposted it. A blogger wrote 2 lines calling the bag fresh and full of heart. People tagged friends. Orders poured in so fast that numbers blurred. Fear tried to claw at her 2 hands. One needle, little money. But she moved. She took her savings and ran to the market. She bought what she could. Zips, thread, bright cloth. She sewed deep into the night. Amity answered messages, wrote down names, helped tie parcels with string. Sleep became a thing, you remember. Joy took its place. A local paper visited and asked for a picture. They wrote about the young woman turning scraps into something wanted. A larger page featured her designs and called her a rising star of handmade work. Then an email came from a man who wanted to invest. He said he could help her grow if she was ready. For the first time, someone backed her not because she belonged to them, but because she had made something good. Her side work became a business plan. She made small collections. She asked to other girls from the neighborhood to help for pay. She learned to keep receipts, track orders, and say no when needed. Every day felt new and a little scary. But she kept the promise she once whispered to herself by the window. Rise. Months turned. The same community that once whispered poor girl now whispered, do you know that brand? It's hers. Women at the market touched her bags with care and said, I want this for my daughter. A TV show flashed pictures of her work for a few seconds, and she laughed and cried at the same time. She had left home with a small bag. Now her name wrote on hundreds of bags across the city. In the family house, the new whispers reached Kem and my mother. At first, they rolled their eyes, said it was noise, but then neighbors came by to show what they had bought. An aunt who had been silent during the bad day now praised Benna to anyone who would listen. Facts piled up like boxes by the door. Kem did not change. She asked for more and gave back nothing. Trips to the salon. Makeup. Dresses she wore once and forgot. No job, no plan to find one. When my mother tried to talk, Kem snapped and said, you should take care of me. Bills stacked. Light cut. Food thinned. Debt tapped on the door. Regret turned from a feeling to a face my mother could not look away from. The house, without Benna's quiet work, became heavy. The walls held the echo of the choice she had made. One hot afternoon, a hard knock hit the door. Two men stood outside with papers. We're here for Kem, they said. Their tone left no soft space. Kem came out in a new dress, smiling. The men did not smile back. They told her she owed money, real money taken months ago to feed her life. Hair, clothes, small trips, big nights. Credit had paid for it. Now credit wanted its due. Kem's face drained. She looked at my mother the way she always had, expecting help to come like rain. My mother's hands shook. There was nothing to give. The men said they would be back. If the money was not ready, there would be trouble. After they left, silence pressed on the house until Kem broke it with angry words. She blamed my mother. She said she had been failed. My mother cried in her chair. She had chosen Kem, fought for Kem, bent her back for Kem. Now all that stood in the room was blame. More knocks came in the days that followed. More letters. The story spread. Everyone knew Kem was drowning in debt. Pride cracked, the mask slipped, and then, like a slow light moving across a wall, a thought came to them. Benna, the girl they pushed out, the one they believed could be tossed aside. She was not the weak one with a bag anymore. She was the one whose name brought nods and smiles, whose work paid rent and salaries. If anyone could help, it was her. Kem fought the idea. She said Benna would never forgive. But fear can change the shape of a mouth. As the men grew harder and the days grew shorter, even Kem began to shake. My mother held her head and whispered, if only she were here. If only I had not sent her away. A cousin sent a message. An aunt wrote to. At last, my mother sent a short line. Please come home. When Benna read them, her chest tightened. These were the same people who had turned their faces, the same house that had closed. For a long minute, she wanted to ignore them and let regret finish its work. But another part of her knew this was the turn. If she went back, she would not go back as the broken girl. She would go as who she had become. News spread that she had agreed to visit. She's coming, people said. The one who made it. Neighbors waited. Curiosity sat on every porch. On the day she returned, the change was clear before she even spoke. She stepped out of the car calm and tall. She wore simple, clean clothes that fit just right. Her hair was neat. Confidence rested on her shoulders like a coat that would not slip. She did not rush. She did not frown. She moved as someone who had a place in the world. Inside, my mother's hands shook on the door handle. Kem stood behind her, pulling at a thread on her sleeve, eyes low. The same living room where they had told Benna to leave now seemed small, crowded with their own shame. My mother started talking fast, sorry tangled with excuse. I did not know. I only wanted to help Kem, I thought. The words broke. Kem tried to speak, but her voice came thin and dry. For once, she had nothing bold to say. Benna listened. She did not raise her voice. She did not cry. She did not need to. Her being there was its own loud truth. She had left empty. She stood now full of skill, of calm, of a life she had built with work. Neighbors watched through curtains. You could feel the turn. The girl they had all seen pushed down the road now stood like a pillar. The ones who had done the pushing sat small in their own house. Benna looked from mother to sister. The two people who once stood tall and told her she was not needed were bent now by the weight of what they had done. She drew a slow breath. When she spoke, her voice was soft but strong, the kind of quiet that fills a room. You sent me away to make space for Kim, she said, but when I left, I found the space I needed to build myself. She let the words sit. She let them remember the night and the bag and the closed door. Then she went on. You needed me all along. I needed none of this. Not your pity. Not your approval. Not even this house. She touched the edge of the table, then let her hand fall. I built my own roof. My own table. My own name. My mother's eyes shone wet, but she said nothing. Kim opened her mouth. No sound came. The house that once rang with praise for one and silence for the other now held a deep still. Regret took up the empty chairs. Benna's voice softened even more. I did not come because I needed you. I came so you could see with your own eyes what you threw away. She turned toward the door. Her steps were steady. The click of her heel on the tile sounded like a final line. Behind her, the quiet grew heavy. In that quiet, my mother and my sister heard the truth for the first time. Not screamed. Not dressed in revenge. Just there. Plain and sharp as the day they sent her out. The cost of their choice. Benna stepped outside into light that felt like hers. The yard, the street, the sky, all of it open. She had walked away once with nothing and a wound in her chest. She walked away now with work in her hands, a name that fed people, and a heart that knew its own worth. Inside the house, pride cracked and fell like old paint. Missed chances lay everywhere on the couch where Kim had smirked. In the kitchen where my mother had drowned a goodbye in the noise of pots. The walls kept the secret that everyone now knew. The daughter they called strong so they could give her less had been the one who gave them more than they ever saw. Benna took a long breath and lifted her face to the wind. She did not look back. She did not need to. The life she had built waited for her down the road, bright as a morning after rain, and the house behind her stayed quiet. A shell of choices and lessons learned too late. What none of them had known that day at the door had come true. The moment she left, their plan began to fall apart, and the moment she returned, she did not come to fix it. She came to show them what it looks like when the girl you cast aside learns to rise and keeps rising, even as you watch from the window.